Happy Homebrew Wednesday. Today I want to touch on a couple projects I have going in my home brewery. First one is sour beer, my first sour beer. Brewed a Flanders Red a couple weeks ago, using Pilsner Munich and Vienna as the base. A little bit of Cara Munich, wheat, aroma malt, and special beef or specialty grains, and pitched a couple packs of the Y Yeast Roselaire blend, which is a blend of Belgian ale yeast, 2 strains of Brett, lactoculture, and a pedioculture for souring. And I've also pitched, I saved up a bunch of dregs from a bunch of different sour beers, some Brewery Oud Tart, Russian River Supplication, Driefontein and Oud Goose, 3 different Jester King sours, and Brett from 2 bottles of Surly Pentagram. So those went in after the Sack Krausen went down, which was about a week after pitching. Got it sitting about 68 degrees right now, which is probably where it'll sit for the better part of a year while those bugs get to work and hopefully produce me a nice sour beer. Thinking once I know that I have a decent population of bugs, I'm going to steep some more caramel malts. It's not quite as dark as I want it to be. Not nearly as dark as this Monk's Cafe Flemish sour ale or many of the other commercially available Flanders style red beers. So, and I want some dark caramel malt character in there. The fruitiness that'll come from the yeast will play nicely off the dark fruit character that some dark crystal malts, things like Special B and 120 can lend. So, hoping in a year I have a good beer. If not, I'll throw some fruit in it or something like that. Make it even more weird. So, the plan with my my new sour brewing adventures is to brew another Flanders style beer, probably a similar recipe, maybe make a few tweaks. Obviously, I'm going to want it a little darker, so I'll throw some more caramel malt in initially. But the plan is to brew another one. I got a jar of ECY 020 Bug County in trade from a wonderful member over at Homebrew Talk. He was kind enough to send me a nice, full, unopened jar of one of the harder to get brands of yeast and one of their more renowned sour cultures. So my plan is to brew a small batch of Flanders with that, straight up, not going to pitch anything else. And again, that'll take another year. Thinking I can play around with both beers, maybe work on a little bit of blending when bottling time comes and stuff like that. Something I'm really interested in. I've gotten into sour beers pretty heavily over the last year, and they're expensive. The good ones are 12-ounce bottles will be $6, $7, $8. Most of them come in large bottles. They're in the teens, even the 20s. And I'm thinking for $30 and it's my time and nothing else. I can have 5 gallons of it, and if I get good at it, I can have 5 gallons of really good sour all the time. Maybe more, maybe less. We'll see. But it's definitely something I'm going to stick with and play around with and learn how to become really good at, like I have with brewing other beers. So, my other home brewing project, as I've talked about before in the last episode, is cloning Heady Topper and mainly working with the Conan yeast, the yeast that John Kimmich uses at the Alchemist Brewery to make Heady Topper. So my next brew is a beer. It's not Heady Topper. Borrows from the recipe. It also borrows from the Surly Abrasive double IPA recipe, and is fermented with Conan yeast. Super hop forward double IPA. It'll be bittered to about 60 IBUs with CO2 hop shot, and it'll have 4 ounces going in at 5 minutes. 5-minute addition is borrowed from the Heady Topper recipe, but I'm going to be using Citra, which is borrowed from the Abrasive recipe. That'll be at 5 minutes, and another 4 ounces going into the Whirlpool for a hop stand, about 30 minutes. hoping for about 170, 180 degrees, get a lot of resiny hot flavor out of that. Grain bill is really simple. Pearl, which borrows from the Heady Topper recipe. Caramel, which also borrows from the Heady Topper recipe. That's Fawcett and Sons Caramel, the 17.5 Lovabond. And then some Simpson's Golden Naked Oats, which is borrowed from the Abrasive recipe, and it's what gives Abrasive that wonderful mouth feel. And the perception of a malt backbone without malt flavor to overpower the hops. So yeah, lost my train of thought there. Anyway, that beer will be bittered to 60 IBU, first word addition for a 70-minute boil. With Hop Shot, the CO2 extract, just like Heady Topper. I think it's made with 6 different hops. Lends a nice, resiny, smooth bitterness, but a solid, firm bitterness when you use it in those amounts. At least it did in my first attempt at a Heady Topper clone. And then all the rest of the hops, 5 minutes, Whirlpool. Going to be using hop stands. I do it with a lot of IPAs. I've been focusing on it more with my Heady Topper recipe because it's so crucial to the hop flavor of Heady Topper. What I'm going to be doing with this one is right after the boil, I'll quickly chill it down to probably about 185, and I'll throw in my hop bag with 4 ounces of Citra hops. And I'll let it steep for 30 minutes or until I'm at 170, whichever takes longer. I'll start it off in a manual Whirlpool, stir it with a spoon or something, get it going, check the temperature again 10 minutes later, do the same thing over and over again. Once I hit 30 minutes, I'll pull the hops, squeeze out all the delicious hop juices from the hop bag, and chill it down. And I'm going to be pitching a nice size starter, a Conan. Going to ferment nice and cool, and see what I get. I'm hoping for a great IPA. Usually that's what happens, and this Conan yeast just seems to make the hop character even more interesting and more fun. So I'm looking forward to this one. My plan's to brew Friday afternoon, and hope to have it kegged a few weeks after that. Should be fun. So the last thing I have going in my home brewery is a dark mild. Little bit higher gravity than a dark mild due to a crazy good efficiency out of the mash. But my buddy and I brewed up 10 gallons of dark mild on Saturday. Split the batch. We're each using different yeast. I'm using the Fuller's strain. He's using 1028, the London Ale strain. And we're each going to have 5 gallons of delicious dark mild beer for the springtime, which the groundhog tells me should be right around the corner, though the multiple feet of snow outside tells me might be a ways off. Either way, came up with the recipe. It's supposed to be along the lines of something like this. Cane's Dark Mild, which is one of the better mild ales available of the 3 available here in the United States that are actually brewed in England. And it's a great style of beer for kicking back and drinking half a dozen pints. Cane's is 3.2. We're looking a little more like 4.2 due to our crazy efficiency. It's just a great style of beer. You can drink it. You can have it for breakfast, and you're not going to cop a buzz unless you drink like a case really fast. Fun style to brew. A lot of specialty grains, so you get a lot of good flavors. It's like a baby stout. It'll be nice to have. It'll be nice to have on tap. Probably another one of those beers that lasts 3 weeks, and it's like, man, I should have kept all 10 gallons to myself. Whatever. I can brew more. I will brew more. So there you have it. It's about what's going on here at the Polk Street Brewery. A couple beers in the works. Brew day planned. It's about how we do it. So with that, my friends, I wish you all a happy Homebrew Wednesday. Cheers.